Good day,
Good day,
everyone.
everyone. My name is Sandra Murao, and I am with.
Faith Faz. And today we're going to present our program in OOPROG. The program is all about the point of sale system with inventory using OOP principles. There are two users who will be interacting with the system or the program, the cashier and the manager. Both the users have login accounts and can access the features of their respective positions.
The manager can access the admin account to view and print sales and inventory, while the cashier can access the sales module but cannot generate the sales report. Besides these, both users are able to change their passwords. So now we will be showing how the program works.
Libraries. We use these header files to manipulate or to declare those function objects, string, stream, and other data inside of the program. We have here hashtag include iStream used for input and output, ctime used for displaying date and time, Windows.h used for the Gotoxi, iomanip used for displaying two decimal places, Konya.h used for Getch, Fstream used for reading and creating files.
These are the classes used in the program. The class login is a base class that will be inherited by two child classes and has protected variables for manager's pin and cashier's pin. It also has virtual functions for logging in and changing password or pin. These virtual functions will be called from any of the derived classes functions. Next, the class order is for taking orders, receiving payments, and printing receipts and sales reports. It is also a base class but has only one child class. It has protected variables which are used to store the list of food items, the customer's orders, the quantity of items the customer ordered, the total price of each ordered item, the total payment of the order, the customer's cash and change, total sales earned, and the prices of each item or food in the menu. Order list functions for taking orders. Payment function is for displaying the total amount and receiving cash to compute for the change. The print OR function is for printing the receipt of the order of the customer, and the sales rep function is for generating the screen for the sales report.
So for the class account, this is the base class which holds the functions that will be used by either manager or cashier. So we use protected and public access modifier for the variables and virtual functions that can be accessed with the other classes. In line 62 to 65, declaring with integer of initial sales, waste actual as an array with the value of 5. Using constructor in line 68 to 73, declaring the values of those variable from initial to actual. Line 75 to 79, declaring those virtual functions that can be accessed with a derived class, such as home, view logins, reports, inventory, and princess, and inside of the parameters with the integer, and all of these are equal to 0. The first derived class is class manager, inherited with the base classes such as public account, login, and order. Likewise, with the second derived class, which is cashier class. First, inside of the class manager, these are the following functions that can access, including home, reports, view logins, inventory, and add stocks and print sales. While inside of cashier class, with the view logins, reports, inventory, and print sales.
These are the user-defined functions made outside of the classes. The store function is the function that will be called to display the store name, location, and date and time at the top of the screen. How we implemented date and time is by using the struct tm from the standard library header ctime. Print user logs function is for printing the date and time a user logged in to a txt file.
In main, we call the first function, which is the login account, using the object L of login class. Inside of the login account function will be the first activity which the user will choose depends on their respective position, either manager or cashier. If the manager inputs 0 and cashier input 1, it will proceed to the respective login activity. And if user will choose 2, it will shutting down the system.
This is the first output when the program runs. So the user will have to choose who to log in as. For example, cashier wants to log in, so they enter 0. After that, the screen for logging in for cashier is shown.
Next will be the password. So we declare the input pin as pin equals to request pin with the parameter input pin from the string request pin function. So this part will validate user input pin if it's equal to the given pin up to 6 digits that stores in the array between manager and cashier pin. If it's true, it will proceed to the next activity, else user need to try again. Inside of request pin function is the process for replacing user's input pin with the asterisk, and also to manipulate the backspace to not change into asterisk type. For validation login, if user input Y, it will proceed to the respective class home functions using the pointer of base type to call the member function of derived class, and it will store into the parent user logs, and if it's no, user will back to the login account function. So this is the output of input pin, and for the validation of the login account of manager and cashier. Inside of change pass function, user need to input their current pin. Then for validation of pin, it will process inside of if condition regarding to their respective positions. After checking the current pin, if it's true, continue to enter new pin and to verify if user input wrong pin, likewise on correct pin, back to the top. And if true, pin will store in cpin or mpin array and continue to the validation until it's successfully changed, and then back to the respective home function. This is the output of user input current pin, and then after the validation of the current pin, it will proceed to the input new pin and then verify the new pin, and after the validation of the new pin, the pin of the user has been successfully changed, and it will proceed or back to the respectively home function.
This is the home function for cashier. These lines of code will display the options for cashier or what the cashier can do in the program. The if statements will determine which function to go to depending on the input of cashier user. This is what the output of the program is after logging in as cashier. There are options on what the cashier can do, such as take orders, change password, and sign out. In this sample output, the cashier wants to take orders, so they enter number 1.
This is the order list function. We're taking customer orders and finding the total price from the order quantity. This is the output from the order list function. It shows or it displays the menu list, and then for the input order and the quantity, and X is for stop order.
This is the continuation of the order list function. The variable I will be incremented as long as the cashier doesn't input X to stop taking the order. The total pay variable is to store the total amount of the customer's order by adding itself with the value of amount. The total price is computed for the price of each item ordered. Once cashier is done taking orders, the payment function is called to display the total payment of the order, receive cash, and compute for change. Total sales is computed by adding itself to total price, and then the cashier will be asked if they want to print a receipt. This is the sample output after taking orders. The total cost is shown, and cashier has to input the customer's cash amount. After that, the customer's change is shown, and the cashier is asked if they want to print a receipt.
For payment function from order class, it displays the total cost as for cash for the computing and displays the customer's change. Inside of print OR function from order class, it creates a txt file to print receipt of the detailed order and transaction of the customer.
If the cashier enters Y, then the program prints the receipt to a txt file. This is manager's home, and it will be called if the user logged in as manager. This function will display the options for the manager to choose what to do. So for manager, they can only view the history of user logins, view and generate reports such as the sales and inventory, and change password or PIN. The if statements will determine which function to go to depending on the user's input.
So this is the admin looks like. It shows the 4 activities that can be accessed, such as the view user logs, generate reports, change password, or either sign out. So user can input from number 1 to 4. View login function. This is a function that can only be accessed by the manager to view the login history from txt file.
This is the output when manager wants to view the login history from the txt file. This is the created txt file, which shows the login date and time of each user.
Inside of reports function, that going to the report screen with options in which only the manager can access and choose which reports are to be printed. So this is what generate reports looks like inside. So it contains the sales report, inventory report, add stocks, or either go back to manager's home.
This is the inventory function for manager. So this function will display the items of the store, the initial values of each item, the sales, the waste, and the actual. The actual is computed as finding first the sum between sales and waste, and then the difference between initial and the sum. The reorder point will appear if an item's actual is less than or equal to 25. From the inventory function, this is what appears on the screen. The inventory report is displayed, and the program then asks the manager if they want to view the items for reorder.
The continuation from inventory function after user input Y, it proceeds to another activity to display the items and the value that's stored based on the actual result for reordering.
And here, the manager doesn't want to generate the reorder point. So after that, after entering their input, the program asks the manager if they want to print the inventory report, in which the manager enters Y. So the txt file for the inventory is created. This is the code for printing the inventory to a txt file, depending on the user's choice. So if the user's choice is yes, then the program will create a txt file and write the inventory report to that file. If no, then the program will go to back and reports function is called.
This is the inventory report printed into txt file. Add stocks function is only for the manager to add stocks to the inventory. The manager will input what item number based on the menu list and quantity that will be able to add to the inventory.
This is what appears for add stocks function. So manager inputs the item number and its quantity, and then inputs X to stop adding stocks. This is the output when manager wants to view the inventory report after adding stocks. So in here, manager entered Y to print the inventory report. On the right side is the sample txt file of the inventory report.
Salesref function is being called from the Princples function inside of the manager class to have an access to display and print the sales report from the txt file. Princples function is chosen by the manager from the reports function in order to view the sales report and to display and print the sales report by calling the salesref function from the order class.
This is what appears for the sales report. So the items, the quantity, the item price, and the total price, and the total sales are displayed. Then the user is asked if they want to print the sales report. In here, the user wants to print the sales report by inputting Y. So a Txt file for sales report is created. This one on the right is the sample Txt file of the sales report.
We use the principle of abstract classes in the code. The class account is an abstract class because it has pure virtual functions. Since it has pure virtual functions, it is designed to be only used as a base class. We implemented polymorphism in the code. There are pure virtual functions inside class account, but the virtual functions inside class login are not pure since they will not be overridden. For the manager and cashier to override the function in class account, polymorphism is used. Class account has pure virtual functions which enables the derived classes to override them. For this reason, manager and cashier, for example, has their own home display.
We also apply the encapsulation in the code. Classes are examples of encapsulation by binding the data and the functions that manipulate those data. We use inheritance in the code. There are two derived classes that inherit all the data members from the base class of account class, login class, and order class. The class cashier and the manager with access modes such as public and protected. So that's all
So,
for today's video about this. That's all for our presentation in our prog, and thank you very much.
thank you and keep safe always.
Bye.
Bye.